You're out there. You are out there, and this is where you are, not because you were crazy, not because you did something foolish, because you believed God had called you. You dared to sing that song, and it's a whole lot harder than you had any thought it was going to be.
Yeah, but Chris, this is so interesting to me because I feel like God, in a way, almost brings all of us on this journey as we're following His leading and His song. And like you, I work with so many coaches who dare to dream, dare to follow God, and then it seems like, and I know we haven't even hit all of it, everything goes wrong and caves in. How did you keep yourself encouraged? How did you talk to yourself? What did you do?
That's the right question to be asking him, because honestly, of course, it was brutally difficult. Things like this are either going to do one of two things only to a marriage. They are going to drive it together, or they're going to blow it apart, because those pressures are very real. This is not just funny anymore. We can laugh about it now in hindsight, but it wasn't funny at the time. At the time, it was really scary. In fact, I was out in that farmhouse. You've heard my stories before of being out there when I was trying to heat that one room I was set up in with all my beautiful cherry wood furniture from the old therapy practice. I'm in this rickety room with a bare bulb above it. I can hear the rats in the walls seriously just climbing around. It's the middle of bitter cold winter. I can't heat it well enough with a space heater. And I've got my army jacket on. I've got my wool cap on. I've got my gloves on my hands. I would take my gloves off, dial the phone, put my glove back on, put my headset on, then put my wool cap back over me. Try to keep my teeth from chattering while I'm having a coaching session. This is not working really well, but it needs to. I say it's not plan A and then plan B and plan C. It's plan A point 1, plan A point 2, plan A point 15, plan A point 25. But we knew plan A was, this is where the Lord's called. And you're right, many times it is far harder than we believed it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that if you have a strong conviction because you spent time in prayer, you spent time in conversation, you sought wise counsel, you spent time in silence and solitude, journaling, fasting. You prayed this thing through to the point that you felt firm in your conviction. And by the way, no, God never showed up and just told me, thus saith the Lord, go to Missouri. But if you have that kind of peace and confirmation, then you go and you don't look back. You don't get there when it's hard and start to say, oh, I want to go back to Egypt. It was so nice when we were back there. You don't let that thing that we all hear in our ears whenever we're trying to embrace a call that says, oh, but what about security? Isn't that kind of crazy? You don't want to do that. What are you, nuts? You don't want to give that. When you make the commitment, you commit.
Sure. And how wonderful to stand on this side of it, and to see how God provided. But if I could just highlight something you said, which I think is just so incredibly profound. You said, because you'd made a commitment. And I've noticed in my life and other people's lives, my clients' lives, I think about my daughter who runs Ironman triathlons, almost for a living. Yep. The difference between her finishing and other people not making the finish line, I've watched. She's had incredibly ill, terrible accidents mid-race, on and on and on it goes. Yet she always finishes, even if somebody else went home, even if the whole race goes home, she finishes. And I've learned it's because she commits beforehand. No matter what, I'm going to finish this race. And from the place of commitment, I've realized that we ask different questions. We don't ask, oh, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't? What will it be like? We say, because I'm committed, what can I do? What's God teaching me? What are my options? And like you said, what's working and not working? And so I just wanted to, put a spotlight on that word commitment, because I think that people have to commit if they're going to do something like this.
Oh, Kim, I'm so glad you underscored that, because that is the thread that should run through everything. You nailed it right there. In fact, that's probably the biggest takeaway from this entire story. It is about listening to the call, the song, as I've said, daring to sing the song, daring to answer that call, and then committing to, essentially, no matter what, this is going to happen one way or another, because I believe it's what God's called me to. This is one of those things I'm going to answer for before the throne. People ask, well, what's the fallback? I'd say there isn't a fallback. We don't put a fallback in place for something like this. We answer a call and just say, let's keep moving forward because we believe God has rich things for us in this new land.